So great to be with you each and every morning at 10:45 to make sure you have the message, the action, the tool to be empowered in this moment. We are going to be celebrating America's 250th birthday this weekend, as I said. Very excited to have you with us. And we are going to play a little bit of trivia here shortly. Before we get into today's topic, I want to ask you one simple question. Please put in the chat where you're going to be this 4th of July. Who are you hanging out with? Let's get some chat going. On Friday, tomorrow, July 3rd, there's two parades, NISWA in the evening, Albert Lee in the evening. I've done that Albert Lee parade so many times with Lori Sellner, I can't even tell you. I know Jake Johnson's probably going to be there. So if you're in the area, you can get down to Albert Lee. The NISWA parade is going to be awesome as well. July 4th, there's lots of different parades. Forest Lake, I was in Forest Lake last year. St. Joseph, Brainerd, Crosby, Edina, Blooming Prairie, Stewartville, St. Peter, Pequot Lakes, Chanhassen, so many different places folks are going to be going. Somebody, an intern Michael told me yesterday, they're going to Delano probably on July 4th. So put in the chat where you're going to be this 4th of July. And if you're going to bring somebody with you who's never walked in a parade for Democrats before, put that in there too. I can't wait to hear on Monday what the reception was like at these parades. I've been hearing all summer long so far. We're shortly into it, but all summer long, I've been hearing that parade reception in small towns and big towns, big communities, has been just fantastic. And so I'm excited to hear how you're received at the 4th of July parade with the local DFL unit on Monday. And so we'll check in then as well. All of these events can be found at dfl.org/events. As a reminder, we'll also be off tomorrow for the holiday, so we will not be having the call tomorrow at 10:45, but we'll be back here on Monday at 10:45 with the DFL Daily. All right, we're going to play some trivia today to celebrate America's 250th. Happy almost 4th of July. As most of you know, this weekend, America turns 250 years old, making this our semi-quincentennial. I've been practicing that, semi-quincentennial. You can try saying that 10 times fast. It's really a fun thought process to think about that this country is 250 years old. For 2.5 centuries, our country has been built by regular people, not kings, not corrupt special interests, but by people who show up, work hard, raise their families, and try to leave things a little better than they found them. It is the story of America, and frankly, it's the story of Minnesota. It's something I talk about every single week on the DFL Daily because Minnesota is built by Minnesotans. Right? It's built by Minnesotans who stand up for one another, protect one another, and always, always, always do everything we can to improve the lives of those around us. That promise that Minnesota stands up for one another doesn't always feel reachable as it should, because right now we feel like we're under attack, and this retribution campaign is relentless. But this weekend is about celebrating the things that are great about this country, our resilience, our diversity, our dedication to the promise that everyone should have the opportunity to succeed, no matter who you are or where you're from or what you believe. And in that spirit, and in that spirit of optimism, we're going to celebrate today with a round of American history trivia with a Minnesota twist. So here's how it's going to work. I will read a question, and then you'll have 15 seconds to type your guess into the chat. And then we'll reveal the answer. This will just be for fun, so no prizes involved today, but we'll try to give some shout-outs as we go to folks who answer the closest or first. All right, is everybody ready? Let's go. So question number 1. Minnesota became a state in 1858. Do you know what number state Minnesota was when it joined the Union? So you have 15 seconds. Take your time. This is an easy one to get close, even if you don't know it exactly. Think about how many states we've got today and work backwards a little. What state was Minnesota when we became a state? What number state? All right, here's the answer. Minnesota was the 32nd state, admitted May 11th, 1858, just 3 years before Civil War broke out. Okay, question 2. A Minnesota regiment made one of the most famous charges of the entire Civil War at Gettysburg, taking brutal losses to hold the Union line. What percentage of that regiment became casualties in that single charge? Again, 15 seconds. Give you a moment to answer. All right, we got a couple. Sylvia Rolfs got 32. Carrie got 32. We're the 32nd state. Eric. Nancy G got the 32nd state. All right, what percentage of that regiment in the Civil War did we lose? Here's the answer. The first Minnesota suffered an 82% casualty rate on July 2nd, 1863, the second largest loss by any surviving U.S. military unit in a single day's engagement. Their sacrifice bought General Hancock the time he needed to hold the line, the Cemetery Ridge line. So let's see here. Who got 82? I'm looking. I don't know if anybody did. Got 80, couple of 80s there. Pete Radosevich. Steve got 80, 87. Devin was at 85. All right. All right. Question number three. Moving to World War II, Minnesota's Iron Range played a massive role supplying the raw material for America's war machine. About what share of the iron ore used by the U.S. during World War II came right here from Minnesota? So you got 15 seconds. What share of that, it's a percentage, what share of the iron ore used by the U.S. during World War II came from right here in Minnesota? 15 seconds. It's a lot higher than most people guess. Northern Minnesota was basically the arsenal of democracy before that was even a phrase. I got some great guesses here. Somebody got it on the nose. All right, Mark Lebo, 70%, roughly 70%. Historians estimate Minnesota's Iron Range supplied more than 333 million tons of iron ore to the war effort. So great job, Mark Lebo. You got it right on the nose at 70%. All right, question number four. Here's a fun one. What small Minnesota town did aviator Charles Lindbergh call home growing up before he made his first solo nonstop transatlantic flight in 1927? Again, you got 15 seconds to get this answer. It's a city, and it's in Minnesota. He called it home growing up. You've probably driven past a sign for this town, or at least the state park named after him in that area. A lot of people know this answer. Yep, it's Little Falls. Little Falls, Minnesota. Lindbergh was actually born in Detroit, but grew up on a 110-acre farm just outside Little Falls along the Mississippi River. Great job. Hugh, Karen, Jody, Mary, Deb, Sylvia, Nancy, Carrie. I saw Carrie got it first. Good job. All right, question number five. Now, for a little DFL history, what was Hubert Humphrey's actual profession? The one he trained and was licensed for before he got into politics. Got 15 seconds. What was Hubert Humphrey's actual profession that he was trained in and licensed for before he got into politics? Think about where he grew up. His family actually ran a small business back in South Dakota. The job is a lot more hands-on than anything you'd picture him doing later in the Senate. Oh my gosh, everybody knew this one too. You all know your trivia. This is great. Steve's got it. Pete, all right, Christine, Nancy, Sylvia. All right, he was a pharmacist. Humphrey grew up working in his father's drugstore in South Dakota and became a licensed pharmacist himself before eventually pivoting into political science and, of course, politics, becoming the mayor of Minneapolis. All right, now question number six. Now, everyone here probably knows that in 1984, Minnesota's own Walter Mondale made history with his choice of running mate, Geraldine Ferraro, the first woman ever nominated for vice president by a major political party. But here's the harder follow-up. Nearly 100 years before Ferraro, a woman was nominated for vice president on a minor party ticket. Do you know what party that was? And bonus points if you can give me the candidate's name. So a woman was named for vice president on a minor party ticket 100 years before 1984. Do you know what the party was? And bonus points if you can give us the name. This happened all the way back in 1884, decades before women even had the right to vote nationally. It was a small third party built entirely around women's rights. All right. So Marietta Stowe ran on the Equal Rights Party ticket in 1884. Anybody get the Equal Rights Party ticket? I don't see anybody. I see Labor, Bull Moose, Socialists. All right, so as Marietta Stowe ran on the Equal Rights Party ticket in 1984 alongside presidential candidate Belva Ann Lockwood, exactly 100 years before Ferraro made history on a major party ticket. All right, question number seven, our final question. Last one here for the science and agriculture crowd. A man trained at the University of Minnesota, where he earned his bachelor's, master's, and PhD, went on to develop the disease-resistant, high-yield wheat that's credited with saving up to 1 billion lives from starvation and won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1970. He's known as, quote, the father of the Green Revolution. What is his name? Awesome. I love this. This is one of the things that I'm most proud of Minnesota for. This is the man who fed the world. This is the human being who prevented famine in Africa and wide swaths around the world. Here's a hint. There's a building named after him at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities campus. He's not a politician or a general. He's a scientist, and by some estimates, he saved more human lives than anyone else in history. This is so cool. And many of you know this is Borlaug, Norman Borlaug, who trained as a plant pathologist and forestry scientist at the U before heading to Mexico to develop the high yield wheat varieties that became the foundation of the Green Revolution. So many of you got this right away. Way to go. Way to go. Karen, Peter Hill, good job. Steve, Mark Lebo, Dr. Lebo knows. Deb Hoganson, Deb, owned and managed a farm with her husband Doug in southern Minnesota for a long time. Awesome. Way to go, Hugh. All right, that's our trivia today. Thanks everyone for playing in our first ever round of Stars, Stripes, and 10,000 Lakes. Hope you picked up a fact or two to bring to your 4th of July cookout this weekend. As we head into the 4th of July weekend and our country's 250th birthday, here are a few ways that you can take action. First, get out and attend an event in your community. Share with us in the chat where you're going to be. I'm going to ask you on Monday to tell us what your experience was like. There's parades, there's coffees, there's gatherings happening all over Minnesota. Certainly one near you. Go to dfl.org/events. Second, you can visit america250.org. This is the bipartisan national celebration. This is not Trump's weird and totally failed state fair thing on the National Mall, but you can go to america250.org to find a place to get involved. Third, we'll be putting in the social media. We'll be putting into the chat a social media graphic, and you can download it and share it on your own social media pages. There it is right there. Thank you, Sam, for dropping it into the chat. And then finally, have some fun this weekend. Share and celebrate what being a patriot means to you, however that looks for you and your family. And I can't wait to hear about it on Monday. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you again Monday at 10:45. Have a great, safe 4th of July weekend. We've got 126 days until the November 3rd midterm election. Let's go win this thing, everybody.